You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast driven by the Cornerstone Gundog Academy. Cornerstone Gundog Academy is the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos, including everything that you need to take a 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to sign up for their free preview module and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gundog Academy, the most advanced training resource on the web. You are listening to the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast, episode 123. This week on the show, we're talking snow geese. We got Jake Herseth from White Rock Decoys joining us to get us in the know before we head down to Arkansas next week. All right, welcome to the 123rd episode of the HP Outdoors Waterfowl podcast. I'm your host, Josh Palm, and we're your on-demand audio source for all things waterfowl and waterfowl hunting. Check us out at hpoutdoors.com. You can head over to all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Check in with us there. If you're on Facebook, join our listeners group. Get a lot of good conversation with a bunch of listeners of our show. And if you're new to the show, you can head over to iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, anywhere you can find quality podcast content, and you can get caught up on all of the past episodes. Joining me this week, as he always does, is my co-host, Dan Harushka. Dan, what's up?
1973, it was raining ducks. Hundreds of ducks fell from the sky and rained down on Main Street in Stuttgart, Arkansas, breaking windows and damaging cars. Most were believed to have been killed by hail, but others were covered with ice when they hit the ground, suggesting that uplifting winds had carried the birds to high altitude, where ice accumulated on their bodies and wings.
This is like turned into story time with Dan.
Did you like that? That's how I get my kids to fall asleep.
Yeah, it's like very nicely done. Could you record my voicemail for me, my cell phone?
Sure. Here's another one.
Oh boy, here we
Feather
go.
count.
Sweet.
All right. Here's a question for you.
Oh.
Well, first, feathers typically make up about 1/6 of a bird's weight, and hummingbirds have the fewest feathers, which it's not waterfowl, but some species have less than 1,000. All right. But swans, on the other hand, hummingbirds have less than 1,000. How many feathers do swans have?
Less than 1,000 for a small bird. Swans are massive. Like 20,000?
Pretty close. More than 25,000.
Yeah. Nice. Look at me. I'm like a genius. Like science.
There you go. Good job, Rain Man.
No, you're not wrong. It's kind of weird that I was that close. Sound logic, I think. Anyway.
Yep.
So yeah, this week, man, we're talking snow geese. We got Jake with White Rock joining us. We are, literally at this time next week, I'll be on an airplane flying in to Memphis to meet up with you and
better
driving.
be in. Yep.
Huh?
We'll be on the ground. We'll be on the ground, right?
Yeah, about pretty close. But yeah, so we're excited. We're gonna talk some snow geese. I think it's kind of the first time on the show we've talked snow geese in any kind of depth or detail. So that's kind of exciting. And I think it's good. It's a good conversation that I certainly enjoyed. And we've been trying to get Jake on the show for a long time, and just schedules and everything else. But yeah, finally got it done and pumped about it. So going to get into that. Before we get too much further down the road, though, I do want to take a minute just to thank Gunner Kennels. It's engineered for your dog, designed for travel, and built for your peace of mind. The G1 Kennel has set a new industry standard and put Gunner Kennels in a category all its own. Gunner was started to protect your pet, and it continues to be at the center of everything that they do. Gunner's dedicated to building the best and safest pet travel crate on the market, because man's best friend deserves man's best kennel. Check out their G1 series of kennels and accessories at gunnerkennels.com. Also, thank you to 737 Duck and Goose Calls. Original design, select grade components, superior sound, and unparalleled service. 737 takes exceptional pride in producing the finest quality, best built premium calls on the market today. They're made right here in America, and they're offered only direct to consumer through their website. Shipping in the U.S. is always free, and international orders are also now accepted online. A 20-day money-back guarantee and a lifetime warranty accompanies every call. 737 Duck Calls lead the flock. Also, if you're so inclined, you can head over to HP Outdoors, check out our discount page tab, and you can find out how you can save some cash with 737 Duck Calls and Gunner Kennels, as well as a few other companies, Done Sporting Goods. And as we discussed on this episode, you can save 10% with White Rock Decoys using the discount code HP Outdoors. So, a little opportunity to save some cash. All right, Dan. You know, we talk a little bit about Arkansas in our interview coming up with Jake, but I got to admit, I've done no packing. I've done like zero prep. I feel like this trip is just sneaking up on me big time, and I'm underprepared.
That kind of surprises me.
Well, you know, I mean, it's definitely not my typical MO.
No.
But
no, I still have stuff. No, I'm pretty much unpacked, cleaned up, just ready to shove it back in the bag and head out.
Yeah, I mean, so. I'm unpacked. My gun needs to be cleaned, and I just need to pack my stuff. But you know, I got the little baby at home, kind of monopolizing my time at this point.
Cramping your style.
Well, I mean, it's just, you know, different
life.
Priorities, bruh. So anyway, I can tell you right now, though, that my priority is to roll this Eukanuba tip of the week that Barton Ramsey's dropping on us. So what do you say? Want to let
Get it?
Barton have the stage? Here we go. The Cornerstone Gundog Academy tip of the week brought to you by Eukanuba.
Hey guys, this is Barton Ramsey with Cornerstone Gundog Academy, and this is your retriever training tip of the episode brought to you by Eukanuba. Today I want to talk about socialization, particularly socialization with a young puppy. This is extremely important as you can't go back and make up for lost time when it comes to socializing your puppy. So the minute you bring your puppy home, hopefully he or she is between 7 and 10 weeks old. The minute you bring them home, you're going to want to ensure a few things. Number one, that they've had the proper inoculations, vaccinations, puppy shots, whatever you want to call them, for their age before you begin to take them around to various places. Before they are 16 weeks and have had their full rounds of shots and their rabies vaccination, you want to ensure that you don't take them to places like dog parks or places where other dogs are going to be, or even letting them out near a truck stop or places where other dogs would be let out to go to the bathroom. You want to be creative here, go places where other dogs aren't necessarily going to be, but where your dog can have lots of positive experiences with other people, places, and things. This would particularly include people and sounds. And so anytime you have your dog in public, you want to protect them from sounds that might scare them. You'd never want to take a puppy to a gun range or a skeet shoot or anything like that. And every time they meet someone new, you want to make sure it's a positive experience. I'll take a handful of my puppy's food and go somewhere and just people say, hey, can I pet your puppy? It's so cute, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, yeah, sure. Actually, could you do me a favor? Just hold on to this food and let the puppy eat it from your hand. And so set the puppy down and let them run up and eat the food from someone new. Lots of different ways to ensure that not just that they meet new people and experience new things, but that those things are a positive experience. You're wanting to train their mind to know, hey, everything out here, this big world is fun. We love all of it, so that you have a puppy that grows up when you go to a new spot to duck hunt or when you take a trip as a family. They're not nervous. They're not anticipating anything negative. They're automatically expecting that whatever they experience there, as long as they're with you, is going to be positive. You shape that from a very young pup, and then you begin to move forward with an older dog who's comfortable and confident and bold in new situations.
All right, there you have it. As always, appreciate Barton and appreciate Eukanuba's support of the show. You know, socialization on your pup with your pup is huge. I completely dropped the ball with this on my dog. He's just like every time someone comes in the door, he's super wound up. Like it's like, you know, it's a wreck. I should have done more when he was a pup to expose him to other people and stuff, and I didn't. So totally failed on my part. So I know that, you know, socialization is a critical step and one that should not be overlooked, you know, for sure.
Yeah, and like he mentioned, making sure that's a positive experience, like giving people food to feed them, and just so they go to people and they love people, and that's a huge thing. But one of the things that, and we talked about this back in May when I drove down there and picked up Boo, stopping and letting them relieve themselves at a different location than you get gas or fast food places or whatever, where everyone's letting their dog use the restroom. So many things can get contracted to your dog, and especially puppies, can really be bad news for them. So that was a great tip he put in there as well. And I know we talked about that a little bit at length, but definitely something to keep in the back of your mind if you're driving around with a pup.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we have not got much Boo updates here in a good long while. What's up with that dog?
I know. She is, I think she weighs more than Kimber now. She's big and pretty. I mean, she's getting back into training routine. It's been cold and snowy, and like last week, Barton said that the guys from Michigan, they head down there and they have open water and train down there for a few months, and it just, when you're in single digits up here, it just gets very tough to train. So, Thad's an older gentleman and he's not doing that during the day, so gonna get back at it. But yeah, dude, she's still all puppy and a ton of energy, and hopefully we get her in shape and can get her in the field this coming year. So
has she been properly socialized?
Oh yeah. Yeah. She goes everywhere.
Does she just love?
She loves love. She's a lover like her dad. Kane, if people follow Barton at all, Kane is like one of the biggest snuggly dogs. Like, he gets after it in the field, but when he's off the, when he's out of the lineup, he's in someone's lap or, trying to just snuggle up on him. And she's the same way. She still thinks she's a lap dog, and just a great dog. So I'm excited to see what this year is going to bring for her.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. All right, as you guys know, Dan and I are heading down to Arkansas, and in fact, our next episode will be from Arkansas and our pursuit of snow geese. And, this year is arguably one of the toughest years in recent memory. So we thought before we get down there, let's bring on somebody that knows what they're doing when it comes to snow geese and pursuing all things involved with that. So this week on the show, we're joined by Jake Greseth of White Rock Decoys. Jake, what's up, man?
Nothing, man. How you guys doing?
Doing great. Yeah, we're excited. We're fired up. My wife had a baby in December, so I'm kind of like, I haven't hunted a bunch towards the end of this year. So I'm excited to get down to Arkansas. And, I know that this has been a tough year, and there's a lot of things that kind of go into that, which we'll dive into first, or we'll dive into. But before we get into that, I wanted to just talk a little bit about you and your background in White Rock in general, because, it seems like, a lot of guys look at the decoy market, and it's a really competitive space, and there's a lot of great quality products that come to the market every year, and it's always advancing. So for me personally, I'm curious as to when you brought White Rock to the market, kind of what was your motivation to get started? Like, what was that gap in the market that you guys identified, and sort of just kind of talk to us about the evolution of your company and sort of how you came to be where you're at today.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I guess I don't know how long you guys have been following White Rock, or if the listeners really know who we are, but this is going to be our 10-year anniversary here in 2019. And White Rock Decoys is known for being kind of a leader in mobile decoy solutions for guys that want to hunt big spreads out of the back of their truck. Stuff like windsocks, silhouettes. We got a floater line, lightweight floater line, and then this year we came out with our new EVA EVAC full body decoys. Like I said, we started 10 years ago. We've developed a whole line of products, and it almost works as a system together. You got your windsocks and your bags, your blind door decoys, your flyers, everything to go together to work as a system to hunt your big spreads, your big mobile spreads out of the back of your trucks. Decoys are, this style of decoys is known to be lighter, more efficient, faster to put out, easier to store, and then more cost effective. So that's who we are.
I want to know, so how did you guys figure that out in 2009? Because 2009 was still the, everyone needs Bigfoot full bodies and trailers full of just full body decoys that weigh a ton. And you guys would come out with the slogan of be a nomad. So you guys kind of figured out the lightweight systems way before everyone else did.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's kind of a funny story, and we kind of like to take credit for, kind of pushing the movement that direction. I was just thinking about this the other day. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you got to give, the Averys of the world credit for coming out with the more realistic style full body decoys. Before that, it was, shells and kind of junkyard garage stuff that our dads had, right? But once the Avery stepped in there and came out with those realistic style full bodies, everybody, the whole market kind of shifted that way. Everybody's like, oh, we got to pay attention to that. That's what we have to have. Everybody went that way. And rightfully so, right? But around that same time in the early 2000s, there's this thing called the spring conservation snow goose season started. These guys, they're hunting these big spreads that nobody's seen before, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 windsock decoys to hunt snow geese. And so you kind of had two minds or ways to think about this. Large windsock decoy spreads for snow geese, while everybody else was going, well, I need a realistic full body decoy spread to kill Canadas and ducks over. And that was always kind of weird to us. We were duck hunters first, but we started snow goose hunting in that early 2000 timeframe, and we started buying windsock decoys to get into the decoy side of things. And the one thing we noticed hunting these spring snows in the spring, guess what would come in? Canadas and ducks and specks, and they would decoy into these big giant windsock spreads, just better than anything we'd ever seen in the fall with our little spreads of, small numbers of full bodies or floater duck decoys we're using in the field to hunt these field mallards, back in the day, back in high school.
Right.
And that, that gets our wheels turning. Okay, if it's working in the spring, why wouldn't this work in the fall? So as we started, I guess you can go back to the kind of the start of the company at that point, we were starting to build our windsock decoy spread with obviously other people's stuff. And we weren't really happy with the product that was out there. There was a couple main ones out there. And, the one that was kind of known as being the top one at the time was Silosock. And we started buying Silosocks. And we kind of were scratching our heads like, really, this is the best option for spring snow goose hunting? This is what everybody's doing. This is what we have to do, moving forward. But my one buddy, one of the other owners of White Rock Decoys, he's an engineer, and he came back a couple months after that first spring and said, hey guys, what if we, made this windsock decoy that did this? And what he had was a collapsible back support in a standard style windsock decoy. And we're kind of known as, we are known as the first ones to bring a collapsible back support into the market for spring snow goose or snow goose windsocks. And that's where we started the company. We decided this is really cool. We have to have a collapsible back support in our windsock decoys. And we knew it, and our group kind of knew it. And one of the guys went to a snow goose guide, a couple different ones actually, and showed them this first prototype of our collapsible back support. And they all kind of their jaws dropped, just like ours did. They said, what is that? I've never seen anything like that. Can you make me 1,000? Like, well, yeah, we can make you 1,000. The next guy's, I'm a guide in Mound City. I need 3,000. We're like, okay, wait a second. We need 3,000, 1,000 for this guy, and 1,000 for us. We need to make 5,000 back supports. Just okay, this might be a thing. So,
yeah, right.
So we started that that summer. We were cranking out in the garage on little bandsaws and whatnot, pieces of plastic, just getting these parts together to make 5,000 windsock decoy back supports. And that was kind of the start of White Rock Decoys, what it is now.
No, that's wild. Yeah, I mean, I think, it's interesting because the timing, you guys had, for lack of a better term, you had a little bit of an uphill battle because you're right. Full body decoys was the name of the game, and everybody was just, you got to have full bodies to kill birds, and
right.
And, so you're battling that. And then you got this this sock thing, and people are like, well, we're going the other way as far as like, fully flocked and all these kind of things. So it's like, how long do you think it took, for people to really kind of, sort of turn the corner on that and sort of get on board with like, hey, a decoy like this can be effective?
Right. So I guess we didn't finish that part of the story. So we started making this windsock decoy company, not really knowing what we were doing. We were being snow goose hunters. Our personal spreads, our core group of guys, we didn't own any full body Canada goose decoys. We had those old shells from Fleet Farm and just some raggedy stuff. And we really had a hard time killing Canada geese and going on these trips and killing ducks in fields over the plastic decoys we owned. Was that we started building the company, the windsock decoy company. It was just a natural transition to bring, Canada goose and mallard windsocks into the line. But we had the full intention of actually going out and using them. Like it was going to be the decoy we were going to use. And you're right, like nobody was really doing it. And even if there were, a few guys doing it, maybe a guy in Canada or a guy in Texas running silhouettes or something like that, nobody was talking about it. And it was almost, it's at the same time the internet started really getting behind videos, the YouTubes, the Facebook stuff really started turning there in the early 2000s and 2009, 2010, 2012. When we developed the Canada Goose windsock that first year, we made a point of going on these trips, hunting the big spreads of Canada Goose windsocks, and just seeing if it worked. And guess what? We brought a camera. And guess what? It worked. Yeah. It worked in Saskatchewan. It worked in Manitoba and North Dakota and South Dakota. We went to Iowa. We've been out to New York, been to Arkansas. And it just works. The big spreads that you can, you hide guys better. They go out faster. It's the big mobile spread concept that you see so often around now that we kind of like pushed forward because we had the product that nobody really else had. And then we filmed it, we put it out there telling guys, this works, this works, this works. Everybody, gets that viral effect. They tell their buddies, they actually buy the stuff. Everybody starts putting out videos. Well, now, it's just common. It's almost common. The big windsock and silhouette spreads is what everything's kind of switching back to.
Yeah. Because I think finally, we're seeing like the mind shift of, right. Silhouettes and socks are no longer just, I'm doing air quotes here as everyone can't see me, right. Air quotes, filler decoys, right? I mean, it was like for a long time, it's like, yeah, I set my full bodies and then I'll set like my silhouettes and stuff as fillers. But now you see more and more guys, and it's like, this idea is perfect for a lot of our listeners because a lot of our guys, they're either new to hunting or they have challenges in the fact that like, maybe they can't have a big decoy trailer or maybe they don't drive a pickup truck where they can't haul decoys like that, so, yep. The way that this product and this space has really evolved has been awesome because it just puts bigger spreads in reach for people that have challenges that, for whatever reason, whether it be finance, maybe they don't have the money to spend for full bodies, or they don't have the space, or they only hunt with like their son or their one of their buddies, and then they got like two dudes that are carrying, all these decoys and stuff. So, I think it's awesome, and you've seen a real big shift in the mindset of hunters for sure, as to sort of I think for a long time probably it was more of an ego thing than anything because I don't know how many times you talk to people about decoys and they're like, yeah, I can bring like 5 dozen, 6 dozen full bodies, and I was like, that's awesome, bring them, because I don't, we'd love that. But now it's like someone says, I'm gonna bring 6 dozen full bodies, and it's like, you gonna sit them out by yourself or like, right. I don't want to sit them out. But so I mean, I think it's cool, and I like seeing the way that some of the stuff you guys have done. I think is really neat. I like. I'm a big fan of the blind door decoys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it seems that's definitely something that we've talked a lot about in the show, using decoy, putting decoys close to your blinds to break up the silhouette of your blind. But I don't think being able to actually set them on top of the blind is something that we were able to accomplish with silhouettes. You kind of tuck them on the side. So this even gives another element of being able to place them kind of on the blind.
Right, sure. And I mean, what we say is when you're hunting, whether it's snows or Canadas or ducks, what you're really hunting is a situation, right? Like the system is you go out and you scout if you can, if it's possible. Go scout, find where the bird wants to be, hunt that spot in the morning with a big realistic size spread and hide the guys. If you're hiding and you're where the birds want to be, you're going to get them. I mean, it doesn't matter when what kind of decoy you're using. I always think it's funny that I tell guys, I'm the only decoy company owner that's going to tell you it doesn't matter what kind of decoy you're using. you get the decoy out there that has the realism or the numbers that were there the night before and enough of them to hide the guys, and you're going to kill birds.
See, I was kind of wondering when, and you might know from, sales numbers or anything like that, but when was the major shift away from the full bodies more into the silos and socks? Because it seems like, just from social media, maybe the last 3-4 years max.
I would say we started making a Canada Goose windsock, and we were really the first to ever have or push a Canada Goose windsock. There was a few, back 10 years ago that had Canada Goose and mallard windsocks, but they weren't really hunting over them. They weren't filming. They weren't doing the YouTube stuff that kind of kicked this whole thing in gear. So I would say, yeah, maybe five years ago, things really kicked going, and then the last 2 for sure. Yeah. It's been crazy with our fall line with the Canada Goose windsocks and silhouettes. And mallards for that reason. I mean, hunting ducks over windsock decoys or silhouette decoys in dry field situations, that's just a no-brainer. At this point, I wouldn't want to set a full-body decoy for a duck in a field, if you paid me to do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely the last couple of years, you've a lot of outfitters and just the average guy has definitely been on that on the kick of just bigger spreads and lighter and easier to put out, quicker to pick up, whatever.
Exactly.
So, no, that's great.
Yeah. So let's shift gears a little bit, and we're getting ready to head down to Arkansas, and maybe I want to start with your optic. As a guy. So in full disclosure mode here, neither Dan or I have ever gone spring conservation snow goose hunting. So of course we pick the year where there's like no juvies, no nothing. Right. It's gonna be like hard, whatever. So like we have realistic expectations about what we're looking at getting into here. But yeah, I'm curious to hear your optic on the Max competition that took place there the other weekend. And I know you guys had a team in there and all that kind of stuff. And I guess before we get into like the hunting aspect of it, there's people that kind of sit on both sides of the fence of this deal where, there's some that say, hey, it's conservation season. We're trying to kill as many as we can. The food's being donated. It's, all, good thing. Then you have the other, folks on the other side. It's like, okay, we're turning hunting and killing into a competitive sport now. And, the things that come with that. So I'm curious to hear your optic of it, and also maybe just some ground truth about what the groups were going up against down there, because, having a team in there, just talking about some of the struggles that they were seeing and ultimately what it took to sort of get the W for the team that made that big push on day 2.
Sure. So I personally was not there. I was down in Arkansas for the opening weekend. Me and a group of guys were down. We hunted 3 days and it was tough. But then the Max thing came up, and White Rock Decoys, we are the largest manufacturer of snow goose decoys in the world. And this is the World Championship Snow Goose contest.
Guess you should probably be there.
Right. Somebody might have mentioned it or, said something to us, and we didn't know. So when it came out, James, one of the other owners here, he's like, we should kind of try to be involved some way and see what it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be, 150 teams or 3 teams, or if it's going to be a big, deal in the parking lot. We should probably just at least be there, see what it's going to be. Not necessarily for the hunting aspect. We didn't really care, if the team we were going to bring or put together was going to win. We wanted to see what it was. So we had some group of guys actually reach out to us and say something like, hey, are you guys doing this? We got some guys down here that would be part of a team. And we kind of just jumped on and said, how about we just, pay your entry fee? You guys get the team together. James will come down and see what it is, and you'll kind of be, Team White Rock, whatever that means. And that's kind of who the White Rock team was. I wouldn't say, we were for it or against it either way. I don't have that personality. It's kind of like a bass fishing tournament, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the competition personality in me, per se. James, on the other hand, he does. He went down and kind of hunted those 2 days. And what they saw was, again, secondhand knowledge here. was the guys who were doing it the traditional way that we teach. Go find the feed, set up in the field with lots of decoys, hide your guys. Those were the single-digit days. Everybody on that board, there were a lot of zeros on that board. I don't know if you've seen the board.
Yeah.
But I think 31 teams entered, and 28 teams had below 10 geese that first day or something.
Right.
And that was the standard hunt. That's what the normal snow goose hunt was. The teams that got those big numbers were doing it a little, some would say sketchy, some would say smart. Sounded like they were hunting roosts.
Yeah.
Like letting the geese leave in the morning, going out there, throwing out some decoys, kind of hiding in their pits that they have in Arkansas. And then as the geese come back, well, small number of decoys, they're coming back, they're shooting them. Still decoying snows, right? They're still decoying. There's decoys out there, and it's certainly within the rules that were set. I just don't know how that made everybody feel. Like, obviously, I wasn't there. Always some drama and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not sure if that every team did that the second day. I know a few teams did do that, and that's kind of what was causing the disparity in numbers, you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing when you bring in competition like that, that's the one negative of it, right? I mean, people set guidelines and you have rules. And then some people, it's like water swatting birds, just water swatting ducks or whatever. Some people think that's not sporting and not the way to do it. It's completely legal and you're within your rights to do it, but some would look down upon you doing that, right?
Right.
So,
I mean, it's weird. You think, why couldn't you hunt waterfowl over water? And we certainly don't have a problem with that. We'll hunt water for spring snows if the situation's right. And the situation was right and they shot a bunch of birds. I personally don't have a problem with it. It's just, the other people that paid money to get in this contest maybe thought there was,
So one thing that makes me think of, it sounded like there was a lot of people talking about landowners holding fields for different teams or anything like that. But one thing they did outlaw was jump shooting.
Oh, no. When I was down there that first week, I had never actually snow goose hunted in Arkansas before. Last year, obviously, was an incredible year to be a snow goose hunter, especially in Arkansas with the big juvie hatch. And it kind of blew up, I think. I had never seen so much pressure anywhere, and we had a heck of a time getting on fields. And I don't think it had anything to do with the contest. I think it just had to do with lots of guys trying to get on snow goose feeds down in that general area because of last year, because of the big shoots last year. And, you see that in Mound City or in the Missouri area. We've never really run into it in the South Dakota, North Dakota, and Canada zones. But that was tough. That was tough getting on land, just because when you get a lot of guys in the same area doing the same thing, that's what it is.
Yeah. And I mean, are you seeing the pressure coming from, all the guides chasing them, or is it like, just local groups that are
just guys? Everybody, everybody's kind of in it together when they all start down there at the beginning. You got guides and local guys hunting and freelance guys hunting like we were. And, it's just, all the geese are in one area. You got lots of guys in one area trying to do the same thing for opening weekend.
Yeah.
And a famed Arkansas, which is not known for easy permission. But I think by the way it sounds is 5-10 years ago, it was a lot easier to get permission on a snow goose feed in Arkansas than it is, now and probably moving forward.
Yeah. So what I was thinking, so those guides really get upset about jump shooting just because it messes everything up. So I'm wondering how, it is kind of late in the season, but still, if these guys are shooting all the roost, what's that doing to the birds down there? And I know that we have had some cold and, I think you posted something about the snow line getting a little more south. So we might get more birds pushing down, but still, those guys that try and make a living off of, chasing these birds and getting them lined out for a couple days, that had to really throw a wrench into their operation, I'd assume.
Yeah, a snow goose guide is a different guy. I'll tell you that. They got a special gene because it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be a snow goose guide. It's a whole nother level of, you guys going down there as, say, clients or just some guys casually paying money to go with a snow goose or go on a snow goose hunt. to us, we freelance and we'll go on 4 to 5 day trips at a time, 2 or 3 over the spring. These guys are trying to run multiple fields for 30 to 60 days straight of clients. And just the grind of setting and moving and scouting and permission and all the people, it's a whole nother game. And it's their own little community, really. That's the Snow Goose Guide community. Sometimes they talk to each other, sometimes they don't, and sometimes there's drama, and sometimes they all get them and everybody's happy. And
yeah,
that's what we always want, right? Everybody's in it for the same reason, but
right.
That's definitely a different game they're playing.
So that actually brings up a good point. And let me ask you, as for Dan and I, like I said, we've primarily hunted, Canada geese for most of our waterfowl career. And, we might take a couple tolls of snows when we're hunting in Maryland on the Eastern Shore, but certainly nothing like the spring conservation season that we're, that goes on in Arkansas and things like that. But for guys who have pursued primarily Canada geese, what's going to be the biggest difference for us going into into a snow goose hunt that's going to be either something maybe we don't expect or just kind of different from what we're used to doing when we're only pursuing, Canada geese?
I would say the biggest thing, the coolest part is just the spring migration in general. The sheer number of birds will be mind blowing. If you guys are coming from the East Coast, I know you even went to Kansas, I think this fall, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be more than that. It's just like all the birds, they're pressed up against the snow line. They're wanting to go north, and it's just constant. Like if you're in the first push or the main migration, it's hours upon hours of birds flying around you. No, like you can always tell kind of the low ones are probably ducks or Canadas or specks. No, Canadas really in Arkansas. They don't get down that far, and then the high ones are usually snow geese. It's kind of, these are coming in really nice. They're probably not snows.
Yeah, right.
But it's really cool to see. If you've never seen the spring migration, you got to get out there and see it. And I'm sure that's what the guys are telling you. That's really what it's all about when you're chasing waterfowl in the spring on the way up, just the sheer number of birds.
So what is your average amount of decoys that you guys put out when you're snow goose hunting?
So that's a loaded question for a decoy company owner, but we have pretty much settled on about 1,500. That's kind of our magic number in the springtime in the States. You're down there in the 800 range, and it's just not enough decoys to hide a group of guys. We don't hunt with, the 10 to 14 guys. We typically put around 5 to 7 in the spread. But even then, 800 decoys doesn't seem like enough. You get into that 1,000 to 1,200, you're with kind of everybody else. Everybody else seems to be running around that number. You get up there towards 2,000, and it doesn't seem to help. You take too much time. Your spread's too big. Unless you're running like a permanent set for weeks on end, that you kind of use them for that reason. We prefer, 1,500 to 1,800 for a mobile spring windsock spread is the numbers we've settled on.
Interesting. Yeah. So one question that I've seen come up a lot is when we're getting ready for this hunt too is, a lot of guys are asking what kind of ammo that they should shoot. And I mean, I know a lot of guys are like, well, I normally shoot 3.5 and I only shoot 3.5 because they don't make 4s, inches and all that stuff. And, but that gets a little different when you're shooting unplugged, you can burn through some pretty expensive shells pretty quick. So, in your experience, what's a good effective load that you can use that, when you're going into these potential 100 bird days or whatever, they can get pricey pretty quick. So I'm curious as to, what kind of shot, size and combination you find to be that works best for you.
Yeah, we typically run 3-inch BBs or ones for snows. They're not that tough of a bird, honestly, and you can really reach out and touch them, in that distance that they're hanging up at 50 yards sometimes. 3-inch BBs or ones, we usually just buy, the the cost-effective Kent, whatever's cheap on sale, because you're buying cases at a time, hoping to shoot them. You don't always shoot boxes of shells, but you want the box in the trailer. So we, that's typically what our group runs.
Man, I'm just thinking, is there Are there any strategies that you think of when you're laying in that spread? And when I'm saying strategies, not so much laying the decoys out, but when that many birds are circling over you, when do you know is the right time to take them, or should you wait? Is there anything, like around here, if we say you get a group of 10 mallards circling you, if they circle 2 times, they might still commit. If they circle 3 times and you get a shot, you better take a shot because they're going to be out. So is there any kind of, rule of thumb that you have as far as when the snows are working you, if they're going to kind of commit or booger out?
Absolutely. Yep. So I would say maybe something that most guys don't expect, or that you guys might be going into it with a little bit different mindset, is you're not shooting into big groups. It's pretty rare to get a big group of snows into decoy. If you shoot, a 40 bird day, that might be one big group and a bunch of singles and doubles. We've had a ton of, 50, 80, 100 bird days that are singles, doubles, triples. Maybe one big flock does it right and you get 10, 15. Typically, we'll shoot birds in range. Obviously, watch these videos of these guides and these guys, just meleeing into the giant flocks. That's not a typical snow goose hunt. And most people shouldn't go into it with that, vision in their mind. You will probably see big flocks like that, but not necessarily, man, we got to wait. There's 2 in front and we got to wait for that big flock to come in. Man, not this year. I would take those 2s and 3s.
Okay, so here's a a strategy for decoys, and not so much decoys, but when you have 1,500 decoys out and you have an idea of where these birds are coming from, or a little bit of an idea, at least playing the wind, are you way up in the front of all those birds, or are you kind of in the middle? Where do you lay, and then do you make adjustments? Do you just get up and go to the other side of your spread if they're moving over, or what do you do there?
Sure. So setting up a spring snow goose spread is quite a bit different than a Canada goose spread. And actually, if you go to our website or YouTube channel, I just put out a video maybe last week on the step-by-step process on how we decide how to set up a spring snow goose spread with that many decoys, right? 1,000 to 1,500. Typically, in the spring, in the States, on a normal day, it's not blowing 50 miles an hour and it's not foggy or something, you want to sit at the top third of the spread. So 2/3 of the spread downwind in front of you. The snows are going to work to the top of the spread. And that's where you kind of focus the quantity of decoys. So you'll lay your blinds out and then put your massive decoys around the blinds to help hide blinds, or guys, if you're wearing whites, hide the whites, and then spread the rest of the decoys down off your boot bags, looser, more in family groups downwind.
I was going to say, is that their aggressive nature,
right,
as far as feeding goes?
Yep. They will work the top of the spread. So they'll be the lowest at the top of the spread. And if you got too many decoys behind you, they'll get lower behind you. If you put, too many flyers or vortex machines behind you, you get a lot of shots behind you. So, we're within shooting distance of the back of the spread for sure. Like 20 yards max behind you is usually what you want to do.
Yeah, you actually hit on something that I was going to ask you next. These vortex and these flyer decoy setups that you see for snows, it's just crazy for me to think about that when we're hunting here, and if you've got like a lucky duck out in the spread and geese are flying your way, it's like you're scrambling for everything you're worth to cut that thing off so that the spinning wings don't flare geese. And then you look at like a snow spread, and it's all you got is these things like buzzing around and flying around all over top of the spread. How did that technique evolve? I mean, like seriously, like I'd love to have been in the field one day when the person that had this idea for the first time was like, hey man, we should fly like a pole like 10, 15 feet above the spread and just like let these things whip around. And everyone would be like, man, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? Like where did that technique come from? Like, how did that evolve?
There's a pretty good rumor or story going around, in the depths of the snow goose game, of how long that vortex machine was around before somebody put it in front of a camera. There's some big name killers that you guys probably know that maybe were running, full bodies and had that vortex machine behind them for a couple of years. that were really producing big numbers. And I don't really know, the story of who invented it or how long ago, but it's definitely evolved into more things in the air than one would think possible. When we're hunting, we typically run either a lot of flyers or almost none. You'll see maybe driving around down there a really good indication, or one of the first things you'll pick up on a spread versus a flock of geese is the flyers. If you got 1,000 decoys in a circle and 4 flyers up, well, you look like every other snow goose spread that's up.
Right.
Right. So we try to do kind of a mixed spread. Odd shapes, and then either lots of flyers or no flyers. And that, is something that kind of sets us apart, I believe, than the standard cookie cutter snow goose spread.
And you put those out in front of you as well.
Kind of around, yeah. A few behind, a few in front, yeah. Yep. They'll work the flyers. If they're loving the flyers, they'll work the flyers. So you want the flyers where you can shoot at them. Those days that, they're flaring hard, that's usually the first thing we'll take down after we check our hide. Is everybody hidden? Everybody got their stuff down? Everybody got their face mask on? Yes? Okay, let's take the flyers down and try that. So,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just such a different game than what we're used to doing. It's really intriguing, and I gotta be honest. Like, half the time you hunt around here, you shoot a limit of 4 or 5 guys. It's like, whatever that might be like, I don't know, 12, 15 birds, depending on where you're at or whatever. It's like pulling teeth getting someone to help you breast birds. What do you do when you got a pile of like 100 birds and you're just all standing around staring at this big pile? Like, I guess everybody doesn't have much of a choice, right? They got to get in on it.
That is the best problem to have, my friend. You drink beer and you clean birds. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Do you guys make a lot of jerky or sausage? What's the snow goose recipe of choice?
I actually like eating snow goose. It's better than a duck. It's better. I mean, there's no comparison to a Canada goose. Canada goose is not good compared to a snow goose. Is just straight on the grill or wrapped in the bacon. I love snow goose on the grill.
Wow.
But yeah, when you do get, into them, big numbers, you got to do something with them. So we'll make hot dogs and sticks and jerky and bacon. I like goose bacon.
Oh, wow.
All that stuff.
Wow. So tell me a little bit about, like, I get it, that the juvie hatch is terrible and the adult birds are wiser and all that kind of stuff. But, we shoot Canada geese all the time that have, with band data that, they're 10 years old or whatever it is. What makes the adult snow so much harder to kill than the juvies that seem to be the ones that everyone kind of makes hay on, when they're in good numbers?
Yeah, I have no idea. That's a nature question.
I was going to say, I guess if you knew that, you probably wouldn't have that problem.
Right. So I guess, what I can tell you is a normal snow goose trip. Let's say you're going on a 5-day hunt, or you're hunting 10 days out of the spring. On a normal year, a normal hatch, your hunts are going to go something like, 4, 20, 15, 86, 0, 12, 23. That's kind of a normal pattern of, how many snows you can expect. You're not going to shoot 100, 183.
Right.
And you don't, usually it's, you don't shoot 40, 45, 45, 45, 50 every single day. It's really random and it's weather dependent. Geese become easier to kill when you got the right conditions. For snows, it's, typically sunny, windy, anywhere from 10 to 30 miles an hour, sun, broken clouds, and warm. If you're sitting there and it's cold and there's no wind, don't feel bad if you shoot 0 or 4 or 2, because everybody else who's hunting snow geese around you, they're doing the same thing. And, I think that's something you saw at the Max contest. It was a cold, rainy, not really snow goose killing weather, and everybody shoots kind of the same general ballpark. But once, you got your spread dialed in, you got your hide dialed in, and you're kind of in the game, you get those right conditions, birds start working, and then that's when your numbers build up. So that's what you're waiting for.
Yeah, I think Josh, what did you say, like 40s to 50s and
yeah, and
like chance of rain?
Yeah, like 40% chance of rain and wind, like in the low teens, I think is what I saw, but it had been a little while since I checked that. But yeah, that's kind of what we were looking at.
When are you going? Next week?
Yeah, we leave. We'll be hunting next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I think.
So it's been really tough. The cold weather, they're stale birds. They've been there for 2 months now. Change is good. So if you can get some warm right before, or just some warm while you're there, and some wind and some sun, that will be your keys. I would guess. I don't know the guide you're going with, or if they're moving spreads or hunting rotating spreads or whatnot, but getting that weather on your side is the really big thing when you're hunting snows.
Man. So are there
fog and wind are fun. If you get a foggy, windy morning, bring all your bullets.
I'll take those too. So are there any other rules of thumb to spring snow goose hunting that you can think of?
It's hide. Like, I think it 100% comes down to hiding. If you're doing the hide right, the geese aren't going to flare off you. They might not all come in, but at least you're doing it right. And I think something that you can kind of start seeing, guys are moving towards hiding in whites for snows. But again, you go back to the weather. There's a reason why you would choose to hide in whites versus hiding in blinds. You'll hide better in whites in sunny conditions. Sunny and windy conditions, the shadows of the decoys get on you. Everything kind of got more movement, and you can hide better in whites. If you're got cloudy conditions, kind of low ceiling, not a lot of wind, you'll hide better in blinds. The brown will blend in. There won't be those hard edges. So you'll want your blinds if you're hunting cloudy days. And that's something you don't see a lot of guys thinking about either. They're either always blinds, always whites, but there's a reason behind why you would choose one or the other. And that's, like I said, number one in snow goose hunting, hide.
Yeah, it seems like, from my uneducated perspective, it seems like, from social media, it's like everybody wants to, every time you see people hunting snow geese, they're in the whites. It's like, bring your white hoodies, bring your white hats, all that kind of stuff. And I was just curious about that. Like, well, why can't you just kill them in layouts? Why is it different or whatever?
You can, yeah. It's like you said, there's lots of ways to do something. There's lots of ways to hunt waterfowl, that's for sure. Everybody knows that. Yeah. But the guys that are really thinking about it, and if you look at some of these aerial photos that, zoom around out of these spreads, those are some of the first things you'll pick up on is the conditions and hiding with what you're dealing with. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you probably just don't want to drag blinds out after you put out 1,500 decoys. You're like, we'll leave those over there. Right. That's true. That is true. They're quick.
But it's it's a lot easier to hide 4 guys than it is 10. That's just math. I don't know if that's math, but it is math. It's a lot easier to hide less people. So that's the thing too. You got to think about, if you got less clutter in the field, a lot less going on, that calms everything down a little bit. So.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely fired up. I'm excited to try, just to take it all in. And like I said, I haven't got to hunt a lot here towards at the late season. So
those kids, they'll do that for you.
Yeah. They tend to take up a lot of your time. So
we're about that age too. I don't know how old you guys are exactly, but we're, our hardcore group of guys was, 30, 60-day hunters back, going in through high school into college and through our 20s when we're growing this business. And now we all got 2 kids and a dog and a wife, and the numbers are dwindling. The days that you get out are less and less every year. So it's nice to have, the system and the ability to travel and still, see all this stuff. It's pretty cool where we live.
Yeah. I mean, I've got 2 kids now. My second's, 2 months old. Dan's got like 100 kids, and he's got 3 kids that are all much closer in age than mine. So, we do love being able to get out. And that's what's so nice about, when we went out to Kansas, we saw probably more birds in 3 days of hunting than we would see in our entire season here in the Atlantic Flyway. I mean, it's just not comparable. And I'm almost to the point where I don't miss getting out less because I'm getting out on more really good hunts now. So it's like, and my wife actually likes that better too. She's like, go for a long weekend. get out of your system. But when you're here, like, do your family thing, and then you go away, so it works out pretty good. And I'm fired up to get down to Arkansas. This will be my first time hunting Arkansas in general, period. So looking forward to getting down there. And, it's one of the reasons why I love the Eastern Shore of Maryland so much, is because when you go there, there's so much waterfowl tradition. And being a kid that grew up in Pennsylvania, I equate the Eastern Shore of Maryland and places that are steeped in waterfowl tradition, similar to the whitetail tradition and deer hunting traditions in Pennsylvania. So it takes me back, and and I love that. So I'm super excited to get into that. And I know Dan and I have been talking about this hunt, I feel like, for a really long time, and it's kind of hard to believe. It's one of those things where it seems to sneak up on you, right? It's like, oh yeah, that's in like 3 months, and then 3 months turns into, holy crap, our flight's next week.
That's a funny kind of story, the tradition side of things and the traveling to hunt. Most people probably don't know this. I actually grew up in Rochester, Minnesota. You guys, I'm sure you've heard of it. You had Scott from Moltke on there, right? Same town. We grew up in the same exact town.
Wow.
There's a lot of big waterfowl guys in the industry. There's some tradition around Rochester, Minnesota. And growing up in high school and stuff, we couldn't kill Canada geese. We didn't have the ability to do it. Like, we tried. And we couldn't compete with the big spreads around the refuges, all these guys running huge numbers. So literally, I knew growing up that I wanted to be a waterfowl hunter. I left high school and moved away from Rochester to hunt the Mississippi River, because I knew I could duck hunt on the Mississippi River. And, that's kind of where the traveling to hunt started, the drive 6 hours west to South Dakota to hunt snow geese, or, 10 hours into North Dakota to hunt geese and ducks in the fall. Because it was better. The opportunity was better. We couldn't get those Rochester geese. And where it all kind of came back around in a circle was when we started a decoy company, not really meaning to, started making Canada goose windsock decoys, and said, well, I wonder if we can go back to Rochester. And turns out you can kill Rochester geese with windsock decoys and silhouette decoys. All you got to do is have the knowledge of hide better, have more decoys. Don't sound, on your big river flute, you're getting them to go the opposite way. Just kind of, me and Scott differ on that opinion a little bit, the calling versus decoy thing. But we started killing Canada geese again in Rochester, and we hunt there. Now we're back in 10 years later. We still don't have a ton of spots, but the more decoys, hunting the days that are conducive to killing geese, just like snows, Canadas can get tough everywhere. Yep. And they'll tell you Rochester geese are tough. And when you're killing them, everybody's killing them. And if everybody's not killing them, you're not killing them. It doesn't, seem to change a whole lot, no matter where you are, what you're doing.
Yep.
So
what do you think, Dan? You got you're infamous for one last thing. You got one last thing here before we
No, man, like you said, I'm just kind of amped up and excited about the trip and the whole, like you said, going down there, probably stop at the pyramid, stop by Max, hopefully if we have time, and just kind of take in the whole area, because we've never been down that way as far as hunting season goes. So
we're going to be the straight up tourists, man. We're going to be like,
it's all about the adventure, right?
I'm going to be posing down in front of the pyramid. You'd be clicking pictures. It'll be good times. Yeah. And there's definitely going to be a picture of me on social media with the ducks out in front of Max. I mean, that's sort of the rite of passage, I guess. Right.
That's the best part of a snow goose trip. It's not always, you don't have to kill them. You just got to see the stuff that goes along with it. You never know what you run into on a snow goose trip.
No doubt.
It's always fun though.
Yeah. We're excited. There's going to be a good group of guys in camp, so we're gonna have a lot of fun. And,
sure.
I'm excited for it. And and I'm glad that we were able to get you on. We've been trying to get you on for a long time, and we've just been, kind of hitting and missing, and everybody's busy and everything. But like, this is perfect timing for us because, we're getting ready to get into kind of your wheelhouse here. And, throughout our conversation here, I've been kind of browsing through your website and checking out all the stuff you guys got going on. And definitely encourage everybody to check out the website, because you can use the discount code over there, HP Outdoors, get yourself 10% off. So we do appreciate you guys extending that offer to our listeners. And you've got the windsocks, the silhouettes, the blind decoys, the flyer decoys. You've got the evac full body that we touched on briefly. But you guys got a really diverse offering. And a little bit of everything, for the mobile guy, budget-minded guy, all that kind of stuff. So definitely encourage people to check that out and make sure you take advantage of that discount code.
Yeah, and congrats on 10 years, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll probably have to do something this summer. It's it's kind of crazy. I never thought, when I was 22 years old, come out of college, that this was going to be my life, but it is. And that's awesome.
Yeah. Where did the, like the name White Rock come from? Does that have meaning specific to you guys, or is that like some inside joke that like?
Yeah, it's not really that great of a story. It was on a brainstorming list back in the day when, hey, we should start a decoy company and we're gonna make snow goose windsock decoys. How about White Rock? Sounds good, Jake. Make a logo. All right, done.
Hey,
yeah, that really wasn't that exciting.
I can tell you what though. I mean, it's hard when you're thinking about like, okay, I'm making a decision here that, in 10 years, we're going to look.
It's still the decision. Yeah.
Right. It's the decision. The company looks completely different and, you turn into things that you probably never had anticipated, but you're still, a company known by something that you made, a decision you made, oh, that sounds good. Let's go with that, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. We had no idea what we were doing or what it was going to turn into, but it all kind of comes back to the snow goose game. That's where we started, and why it all works is because we figured it out through snow goose hunting. So it works.
Yeah. And I gotta be honest with you. I mean, I graduated college in 2005. So when I say like 10 years ago, that really like, it's a weird continuum for me. Cause I'm like, I feel like I was in college, like not that long ago, but it's been quite a while now. So I'm like,
yeah,
but
I was 07. So yeah, same.
So I remember the first time seeing the White Rock logo. It was either in the Cabela's waterfowl catalog or the Max or somebody it was a waterfowl catalog that I was looking at. And that's what caught my attention about you guys. And, it's just funny now because I still love the waterfowl catalogs because, there's always seems to be some new innovative products in there that you kind of look at. But, you're right. So much of where our information comes from these days is pushed to us through social media, and it happens so much faster. But like, I look at for you guys and it's like, if you hadn't been in that catalog, who knows when I would have known, about a company like you guys. So it's just, it's cool to see growth in the industry and growth in the space. And we talk about a lot on our shows, competition, in the marketplace. You guys probably don't love it, but for us as consumers, it benefits us greatly. It pushes everybody to be the best they can, bringing affordable market things, things to the market, things like that. So we win. It makes your guys' life more stressful. I'm sure of that. But, for us as consumers, we like it. And, seeing you guys bring new products and stuff like that is fun. So, we'll be definitely on the lookout and keeping an eye out on White Rock and see what you guys got going for the 10-year anniversary.
Heck yeah, man.
So we appreciate you spending some time with us. Again, we encourage everybody to go over to your website, check out the HP Outdoors 10% discount code. And yeah, man, hopefully you'll see us posting lots of pictures that aren't just sunrises on Instagram.
Yep. Pile them up. Hope for that fog and wind.
Yeah, we will keep our fingers crossed. But again, Jake, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, man. Well, we've had a pretty good run here this week. It's sufficiently built the anxiety within me that I need to get my crap together for this trip. You got one more thing you might want to throw at me here before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good.
That sounds like a man who's not good.
No, it just seems like a lot of stuff's been going on and just a lot of things that can't talk about on the air. So no, I'm good for now. We can talk after the show.
Okay. Well, on that note, let's go ahead and wrap up this week's episode. And before we do, I want to take a minute again just to thank Cornerstone Gundog Academy and their support of our show. Cornerstone is the world's most comprehensive online gun dog training resource. They've got over 160 instructional videos, including everything you need to take your 7-week-old puppy to a finished gun dog. Visit cornerstonegundogacademy.com to sign up for their free preview module and begin your training journey today. Cornerstone Gundog Academy, the most advanced gun dog training resource on the web. Also, thank you to this week for Gunner Kennels and 737 Duck and Goose Calls. All right, that does it for episode 123. Thanks to Jake from White Rock for coming on the show and talking all things snow goose with us as we get prepared to head down to Arkansas and take our shot at the lack of juvies that seem to be the case this year. But we'll give it our best effort. We'll be checking in from Arkansas next week, so keep your eyes open for that. If you're new to the show, make sure you head to iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast content and get caught up on all the past episodes. Till next week, for Dan, I'm Josh. Take care.